Hey guys, it's time for some friendly competition between the iPhone XS Max and the Galaxy Note 9 and the S9 Plus. These are very similar devices, so I'm mostly lumping them together, aside from a couple little changes here and there. Let's go ahead and see which one excels at what's been improved on the iPhone XS Max that the Galaxies have had for a while, just how they compare now that Apple has released this huge beast. So everything you need to know regarding these, if you want to switch from one or another or upgrade, you'll find in this video. But I did want to mention that competition is definitely a good thing. I love that Samsung pushes the envelope. They keep innovating, adding new features that even Apple copies from them once in a while and vice versa. So let's see how these compare. All right, let's start with materials. So aluminum 7000 on the Galaxies with their Gorilla Glass 5 on the front and back. Apple says that their glass is the most durable ever in a smartphone, and we'll definitely have to test that out. But it does have a stainless steel border. It comes in 3 finishes: silver, gold, and of course space gray. This one, meanwhile, also does come in 3 finishes here in America, but you can get a gold additionally elsewhere. The other colors are blue, purple, and black. Now here's something I certainly didn't see Apple doing: adding the IP68 water resistance to the new iPhone XS Max. Now the Note 9 does have the same certification, the S9 Plus as well, but it's not as good as Apple's, and let me explain why. IP68 means from 1.5 meters to 2, and manufacturers can add their own rating in there as they wish. Samsung did add a 1.5 meter rating, which is 5 feet. Apple did a 2 meter, which is 6.5 feet. So this theoretically should be quite capable in the water and better than the Galaxies even. And comfort. So actually using the iPhone XS Max, it is quite a wide device. You know, the specifications are just a little bit wider. It's a little bit shorter versus the Note 9. So just like this, and the display is a little bit larger though. But it is a little bit wider than the Note 9, and I'd say that the Note 9 is generally more comfortable. You can reach more areas of the display because it's a little bit slimmer. I do like that about it. The iPhone XS Max by no means will be uncomfortable. It's just a little bit wider. And the Note 9 is the thickest of all at 8.8 millimeters. The S9 Plus is 8.5, and the iPhone XS Max is 7.7. Surprisingly thin for how large it is. And display sizes. So this is just a demo. The actual screen will go to the very bottom on the iPhone XS Max, but everywhere else is correct. And it is going to be just 0.1 millimeters larger than the Galaxies. For the first time ever, Apple has one-upped Samsung with a larger display. Just watch. Once they eliminate this bezel, the new Note 9 or whatever else they release will be even larger than this one, and it'll be really, really cool looking. But basically you're trading a notch for a chin and a top area, top bezel. So I personally prefer the XS Max, but I know a lot of people that hate the bezel and prefer more even design. So all the power to you, whatever you like. It all comes down to preference. Screen sizes are just about the same, but size-wise, the iPhone XS takes the crown here, the Max version. And the S9 Plus, of course, has that 6.2-inch display, so I'm a little bit smaller here, but the most comfortable device out of all of them to use. Now, display size is one thing, but quality is an entirely other thing. DisplayMate said that the Note 9 has the best smartphone display ever made right now. Let's see how the iPhone XS Max with its Super Retina display compares with the higher dynamic range. We'll leave that up to the pros at DisplayMate. But in terms of resolution, the Galaxies do have a higher pixel density at 516 pixels per inch with a true 1440p display. The iPhone XS Max has a 458 pixel density, which isn't bad, and it's very hard to tell the difference between them, but this one is definitely sharper and better right now. And the actual screen to body ratio of the XS Max is a little bit higher at 84.4%. The Note 9 is just a little bit behind at 83.51. A couple of other things: the iPhone XS Max has 3D Touch, which adds a whole nother layer of depth to your phone, which this guy does not have, well, not in full capacity anyways. It does have a pressure sensitive area down here, but not to the same level that Apple does. And the XS Max has 120 Hz display input. That means when drawing, just navigating, the phone feels so much more fluid than any other smartphone. That's not a 120 Hz refresh rate for the display, just the touch input layer. But of course, the Note 9's main benefit is having the S Pen, so you're able to navigate the display much more precisely. Having this on hand is really, really nice. So that's a very big one for the Galaxy. And cameras. So both are 12 megapixel. The Galaxy Note 9's has a wider aperture, so it theoretically should be able to do better in low lights, but again, this is one of those things you just have to test. Specs don't speak everything here. All of them have dual optical image stabilizer, 2x optical zoom, and all have the selectable bokeh after you take the photo to change the focus in the background. So Samsung did beat Apple to that, but Apple does it more intelligently with the dual lens system. The iPhone XS Max is the only one to have stereo recording though during video, and with that A12 processor, they're saying they're getting improvements across the board: video recording, photo. You're able to take the perfect photo now with smart HDR, so the A12 processor comes into play, and again, that test will tell everything, but it could be that the iPhone XS Max has an edge over the Note 9. Selfie cameras, 7 megapixel on the iPhone and 8 on the Galaxies, and the aperture is lower here as well, so should do better in low light. This is capable of 1440p at 30 FPS. This one is at 1080 at 60 frames per second, so not quite the quality of the Galaxies. Advantages of the selfie camera of the iPhone though is that it does have a full screen True Tone flash that has a custom display controller to flash the screen even brighter than the Galaxies. And it does have a portrait mode and bokeh control for the focus on the front camera as well, which is a nice touch. And the actual True Tone 4 LED flash on the back has received an upgrade 2nd gen with new slow sync control. So security, the iPhone XS Max has 2nd gen Face ID, which should be faster, but we aren't able to tell just yet how they compare. This one does have the fingerprint sensor, facial recognition, and iris recognition. So it has many ways you can get into your phone, and most of them are faster over Apple's right now. And as for the modem setup, this one is still faster at 1.2 gigabit versus 1 gigabit on the new iPhones. And there is a dual SIM card support on the Galaxies, but on the iPhone, it's an eSIM unless you're in China. So it is one physical SIM and one internal SIM card you have to get programmed to one certain carrier. As for storage, the Note 9 has an advantage here. It starts at 128 gigabytes and goes up to 512, and you can upgrade it to 512 gigabytes using an external SD card, which of course the iPhone can't compete with. You buy it at base 64 gigabytes, then $150 to 256, and then $200 to 512 gigabytes. That's a very expensive upgrade, $450 to get to 512, but a micro SD card is a very cheap upgrade, and it keeps going down in price. So this thing is much easier and cheaper to upgrade the storage. Let's get into power. So the Galaxy Note 9 comes standard with 6 gigabytes of RAM, S9 Plus with 4, and the iPhone XS Max with 4 gigabytes. And I've heard that the iPhone XS Max in the 512 gigabyte variant comes with 8 gigabytes of RAM. That's to handle all that extra memory. So I'm not entirely sure how true that is, but I have heard it around online. But if that is true, it would match the 8 gigabyte RAM version of the Note 9 from the international version. As for the chips, we have a 7 nanometer, first time ever Apple A12 chip, and this is a 10 nanometer Snapdragon 845. You really can't compare these. This one will blow it away. Even the Apple A11 was more powerful than Snapdragon 845. But in any case, this is a 6-core chip, to high-end for low-end. This is an 8-core chip, and they do have dedicated GPU graphics. Apple says the GPU graphics on this is 50% faster, and the actual CPU should be roughly about 15% faster for the high-end processes. Of course, I will do a speed test. It'll be a very interesting comparison to see how much of a leap Apple took on Qualcomm's Snapdragon processors. As for the batteries and the charging situation, the Galaxies do have the bigger batteries. This one should roughly be between 3,000 to 3,200 milliamps. This one is 4,000 milliamps and 3,500 on the S9 Plus. As for charging, this has a 10-watt fast charger available. This is only at 7.5 watts, so this will charge faster. And the crappy thing is that the iPhones do not have the fast charger in the box. The Galaxies do. And although the battery life is better by 1.5 hours over the iPhone X, it's hard to compare these unless you get real-life tests going. And prices. So the iPhone XS Max starts at a staggering $1,099. The Note 9 isn't cheap by any means at $999, and the S9 Plus seems to be the biggest bargain here at $720. Now about the Galaxies, you can usually get them for a couple $100 cheaper if you do your homework, if you look around. The iPhones, it's very hard to find a discount, and you won't for the longest time. They keep their resale value very high, which is a very big point, a very big reason to go with the iPhones actually. And the iPhone XS Max maxes out at $1,450. That's just ridiculous for the 512 gigabyte model, and with tax and everything, you'll get close to $2,000. So bargain wise, the Galaxies seem to be the better bang for the buck, but Apple's has a higher resale, so it equals out a little bit there. A couple other points about the Galaxies. Obviously this one has the stylus, the headphone jack, and always on display. In terms of software innovation, Samsung seems to certainly give you more for your money. Apple has been very shy with that. No always on display, no dark mode. They're really not taking advantage of the OLED as much as I would have liked, but hopefully with iOS 13 we'll get there eventually. It's also nice that this has USB-C. It's pretty much compatible with every and all cable of the future anyways. There it is, guys, the iPhone XS Max versus the Galaxies. There's a lot that the iPhone XS has going for it. Value-wise, the Galaxies seem like a very good deal. It just comes down to personal preference. preference. And then there's the whole matter of Android versus iOS, which I won't touch that subject. But just pure hardware wise, the iPhone certainly beats it in terms of raw power. The Note 9 certainly stands strong with the camera and the display, but future testing will be required to see how they really compare. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully I made this choice a little bit clearer for you to actually see and understand the differences between all of these. And yeah, enjoy the purchase, whichever one it may be. Peace.